Love Island star Jack Fowler says he nearly died on an Emirates flight after he was served a curry containing cashews, even though he had repeatedly told cabin crew of his severe nut allergy.
Honestly, it's so worrying for anyone affected, and particularly, of course, for Jack, who was forced to use his EpiPen. It's a life-saving piece of medication that those with allergies carry with them in the case of this happening. But he also needed 5 tanks of oxygen at 40,000 feet, using that until the plane landed. Now, Jack is here this morning to say it's time airlines took allergies more seriously. Very good morning to you, Jack. So just talk us through. You're on a flight to Dubai.
Yep.
You were in economy.
I was in economy.
And it comes to the meal, cabin crew walking up and down. Did you have a menu? Did you make a choice? What was the procedure?
No menu given to me.
Right.
It was the first trip out of the country for a little while, and I was kind of aware that on a flight it can be dangerous for me.
Yeah.
And not having a menu was kind of different, but I just went along with it. The cabin crew said, you know, do you want chicken or would you like fish? And I said, one hasn't got nuts in. And they said, neither. And I said, OK, I'll have the chicken curry. And my friend with me at the time, he said, you know, severe nut allergy here, so make sure there's no nuts. So when the food came, and it was the chicken curry, I said again, just to make sure, there's no nuts in this food. And they said, no, just chicken and rice. So trusting them, I really honestly trusted them and started to eat what I thought was something safe. And it actually contained the one thing that I really couldn't have, and that was cashew nuts. That is the worst nut for me. So straight away, I knew my throat was closing up, I couldn't breathe, and it was extremely scary for me. And I looked at my friend and I said, are you sure there's no nuts in this? And he said, yeah, we've checked, there's no nuts. And I just knew something was wrong. I stood up, I went to the air host, and I said, excuse me, is there nuts in this? And she said, no. And I said, but I can feel it, something's wrong. And my other friend said, can we look at the menu? And they was quite reluctant to show, but then my friend said, no, we need to see the menu. And it said, for the first time that I saw it, creamy cashew nut chicken curry.
Clearly said on the menu, which you had not been provided.
No.
But the air crew would have seen, clearly said it contained nuts. And yet it sounds to me like you'd asked at least twice before eating it, does it contain nuts? I have a severe nut allergy. So what then happens? Can I just ask, how many bites did you have before you started getting the symptoms?
I'd say one. The first time, the first bite I had, I felt something wasn't right. And I was so confused, actually, because I was just double-checked. How many times can I check to make sure there's no nuts in this, you know? So I was thinking to myself, is my mind playing tricks on me here? But then I just knew, no, my throat's closing up, and, you know, there's just complete negligence here.
Has this happened to you lots of times before, having that kind of reaction?
I've had a few anaphylaxis reactions before.
So you can tell immediately when it's...
Oh, straight away. And
on an aeroplane?
Yeah, it's not my second time having a reaction on an aeroplane, unfortunately.
It is your second time.
Sorry, it is my second time. Yeah, sorry, it's my second time. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. You know, to happen once is scary enough.
Why you were being so careful?
You know, scary enough.
And just want to point out, this is not a story about asking other people not to eat nuts. No. This is not a story, which is also an important issue, by the way, but this is a story about an actual incident where you have explained to the crew of an airline you have a severe nut allergy, and you have asked for clarification about whether a meal you were about to eat contains nuts, and have still been provided with a meal which they very clearly should have known contained nuts. So I find it absolutely extraordinary that you were treated like this. Meanwhile, you carry an EpiPen.
Yes.
You've got one with you now, and I wonder, just for those people who don't know what happens, how do you administer this then?
So
you can hold that up.
Yep, so here is an EpiPen. You take it out the case, and here is the blue tip that you would take off. and then you would administer it. It can go through your jeans, it can go through your trousers, but I took my trousers, pulled them down, and I administer it here into my side of my thigh, and I hold for 10 seconds.
Yeah. And that is a lifesaver, along with the oxygen.
Absolutely.
What we asked Emirates, they haven't responded to our request for comment. The airline's website says we can't guarantee our meals are nut-free and continues to say we serve nuts on all our flights. The point is, you asked, does this meal contain nuts? And they said no, and that was wrong. What would you say to airlines about how they should treat people with nut allergies?
I just think, what is it going to take?
Yeah.
What is it going to take until nuts are taken off flights completely? The amount of people in my comments on Instagram, direct messaging, saying they are completely relating to what happened, whether or not it's them firsthand, it's their friends, it might be the parents of a young child who's also got an anaphylaxis to food. It's, you know, incredible that nuts are still served on flights. I mean, the rate of allergies in younger people is on the up. And I just feel like it's a sign of the times where people need to be looked after on these flights. Because back in the day, I think it was arrival, you had some drink and some peanuts. But now things are changing. And what is it going to take? I think people need to really understand the severity of allergies. And I think there's a lot of ignorance in some people.
The annoying thing is, I think, is if you've been served a packet of cashew nuts, you could have said, no, it's all right, I won't have them, thanks very much. I have a nut allergy. The thing is, you could not tell what was in this meal. I think that all passengers should be able, like we can in shops, now in supermarkets, with, you know, look at the ingredients. Can I just check? Can I just have a look at your menu? Can I have a look at your ingredients list? And then you would be reassured, wouldn't you, about what was actually in the food?
I also think airlines, it's such a simple thing. You know, for stewardesses, having something that they can visually see that implies there's something here that we need to attend to. And I said, why don't we have a red cover that goes over your headrest? So even if the flight attendant doesn't know maybe firsthand, they can visually see that person there's got something on the back of their seat. What is it?
Be careful,
so we can understand what's going on.
But the thing is, though, I mean, it's hard for an airline to control whatever passenger brings on, passenger brings on. But Emirates, or the airline in question, they have a direct link to the manufacturers. They can absolutely specify exactly what goes into every meal. If I was running an airline, I'd have no nuts in my chicken curry. I just don't understand why you would do it, because, as you say, there's a risk. What's the cost of saying no nuts?
If I was running an airline, I would make sure every passenger who needed it had a list of the ingredients, and then they could at least make a decision themselves, an informed decision.
I'd go nut-free.
Yeah, Jack, thank you.
No, thank you for having me on, guys.
Thank goodness you're here.
Appreciate it.
It is really frightening for people, and as you say, I think thousands of people are, you know, affected by this and have been getting in touch with you, and it's a really important message.
Really important.
Right, if you're affected by that issue, you can find advice and support at itv.com/helplines. Just one quick thing. I know whenever we do a story like this, people say, just don't get on an airplane. Why is that just the wrong response?
That, for me, really irritates me. Really, really irritates me. You know, if you can't have a nut I think the longest flight is to Australia, maybe 24 hours. If you can't have a nut for 24 hours, there's something wrong with you.
But you were DJing in Dubai.
Yes, this was my first...
If you're DJing in Dubai, you get on a plane.
Literally, it was my first day of my tour, going to Dubai, and it was the worst possible start. It couldn't have started any worse.
Good luck, Jack, with the rest of the tour.
Thank you very much.
Hope it goes well.
Yeah, thank you so much.